Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mafia 4, The Old Country, the brand new installment in the upcoming Mafia games, and this is a game that I've always been waiting for. Now today we're going to take a look at everything that we know from Mafia 4, The Old Country, as 2K Games and Hangar 13 have shared some incredible details about the new Old Country game, where the story is now going to take us all the way back to the origins of how the Mafia family basically started. Now in Mafia Old Country, we are going to be playing as Don Salieri, the well-known Don character from the Mafia 1 game, also from Mafia Definitive Edition, who was the boss that Tommy Angelo used to work for. Now in Mafia Old Country, we are now finally gonna get to explore the world and deepest, darkest life of Don Salieri, and how he came to power and what his life was before he became Don and created one of the biggest mobsters family in Italy. Now as we know, the Mafia was started all the way back in early 1920s. Now for those of you guys who are not familiar with the Mafia storyline, well basically the family of entire Mafia was formed by Salieri in 1920s after the murder of Lost Haven's first major crime boss, Don Pepone. Now in Mafia 4, also known as Mafia the Old Country, the game starts off as you play as the young Don Salieri, where he is best friends with another villain that we encounter in Mafia Definitive Edition. Now initially, Don Salieri and Don Marco Morello, both of these guys were best friends as they grew up, and they grew up together, and they were the reason as to why the entire Mafia family was organized. Now before they became rivals and enemies in Mafia Definitive Edition, there was a lot more story that we never really heard about. Now that's where Mafia the Old Country takes place in, where we are playing as Don Salieri and exploring the life of Don Salieri and how the entire origins of Mafia was created. Now before we get into the further details, let's talk about the timeline in which Mafia the Definitive Edition takes place in, where Don Salieri and his rival Marco Morello, both of them divided up Lost Haven between themselves, and with the Morello family controlling the northern part and the Salieri family controlling the Little Italy, the family basically runs several rackets including gambling, bootlegging until 1933, and they also collected money from local vendors and businesses in order to provide them protection. They also ran prostitution, smuggling of luxurious goods, and grand theft auto. Now in the first Mafia game, as we know, Salieri had his own bar, which is located in Little Italy, which is used as the family's offices and also as a front up for a number of illegal operations. For much of the 1920s and early 1930s, the Salieri family basically maintains an uneasy peace with Morello family, and both of them always have been rivals against each other, and both sides occasionally target the other rackets and men's, but for most part they always stuck to their own businesses and territories and making money for themselves, until however in 1933 Don Morello decided to take over Don Salieri's family and all of his business, and cutting his deal off and also making new deals with FBI agents, for he helped them in order to build case against Don Salieri himself and tried to get him locked up for life. But then by 1935 both families were officially at war, where Morello for the very first time attempts to murder Don Salieri in one of the restaurant missions that we have seen, which was Pepe's restaurant, and fortunately Don Salieri survives, but the restaurant gets destroyed and burned to ashes, and that is when both the organizations completely went against each other, and Don Salieri decided to hire Tommy Angelo, and Salieri then puts out a hit on Morello himself, resulting in his death. And for the next 2 years, Salieri family slowly takes over every single criminal rackets in Lost Haven, which ended up making Salieri the city's undisputed kingpin of all time. Now, later on in 1938, Tommy Angelo, who was working for Don Salieri, had betrayed the Don and gave up all the information to the police and FBI agents, where he got the mark of death from Don Salieri, where the entire Mafia organization was against Tommy Angelo. And that made Tommy cooperate with the detective Norman, and he then successfully ended up locking Don Salieri behind bars for life. And before Don Salieri died, he was able to get a dying favor from the Falcon family, who then hired Vito Scaletta and Joe Barbaro in order to assassinate and put down Tommy Angelo. So basically this is how the entire storyline of Mafia was connected. It was an incredible story, and now it seems like in Mafia the Old Country we're going to be going all the way back to the initial stages of how the entire Mafia started. Where now Hangar 13 is officially teasing some information about the Mafia Old Country, where they have now teased that a story is coming coming up for Mafia 4, which is going to include the story in all 4 different parts, which is going to be connected with the story of Vito Scaletta and Joe Barbaro and all the different Mafia characters, and it's going to be taken down in 4 different parts. Where in the street you can see there are major characters who are very much connected to the main storyline of Mafia the Old Country. As we know, the Falcon family are the ones that gives Don Salieri the favor in order to put down Tommy Angelo, where the Mafia game is now officially teasing that the story is going to be continuing in all the 4 different parts. And they recently tweeted this video out where they were just highlighting the wine bottle over here, and for some reason, if you look closely as far as what they've tweeted out, look beyond the vineyard, and if you zoom in, you'll actually find out that the bottle says 1903 as the year of when all of this started. So it seems like the game is going to be taking place in 1903, where Don Salieri is literally nobody, a street kid that is trying to build his own career and ends up in a place that he did not intend himself, and now he is the boss of an entire Mafia family that he created alongside his best friend Marco, who then ended up becoming rivals that would tend to kill each other. And now Marco is dead and Don Salieri ends up in prison, and that's basically how the storyline goes. Now recently, man, the official Mafia Twitter account, they've been teasing out a lot of information that is connected to the Mafia Old Country game, and one of the tweets, as you can see, the recent ones from September 26th, they're gonna put on a photo of Tommy Angelo, and then the quote says, "Mr. Salieri sends his regards," basically stating that the storyline is going to take place in this universe where everything is related to Don Salieri, Tommy Angelo, and also Vito Scaletta and the Falcon family in the future all the way ahead. But the story starts off from when Don Salieri was literally a nobody and how the entire origins of Mafia started. And it also seems like in Mafia Old Country, the storyline is all about a brotherhood. And as we know, Don Salieri and Marco are going to be best friends from the beginning, and that's basically what the storyline is going to be representing, and how they were best friends, how they grew up together from nobody, and how they built this entire empire of mobsters. And that's the reason why they've even been teasing a lot of stuff about brotherhood, because the game and the storyline is all going to be based on brotherhood this time. Because in Mafia Definitive Edition, the storyline was all about a taxi driver who ends up betraying the person that gave him everything, and then the story turns out to be a revenge quest. Now the same goes on with Mafia 2, where the story is all about Vito Scaletta and his revenge and survival and all that aspects of the game, who's basically surviving, and he did not even intend to get into the Mafia mobster family, but then fate pretty much just pulled him in there because of his best friend. And as we saw with Lincoln in Mafia 3, the game was all about revenge, and now with Mafia 4, we are going back to brotherhood, and this game is all about love, this game is all about friendship and brotherhood, and that is what Mafia the Old Country is going to be based on. Now as for the details, the game is going to be set in 1906 Sicily, where of course the entire timeline and setting is going to be much more in the past compared to any other Mafia games, so expect a lot of different types of old school vehicles, and we're also going to be using a lot of horses and wagons, because during 1906 it seems like a lot of horses and wagons were the only means of transportation. However, we did end up having a lot of cars. That does not mean that there were no cars in the game, and as we have seen from the trailer, there was this car that was shown, so obviously this means that cars are definitely going to be in the game, but at the same time there will be horses and wagons, because as far as what I've done my research personally, it seems like that was a completely different era. Now if you are someone that has watched Peaky Blinders, expect some sort of action that's similar to that one. We saw a lot of horses, wagons and all that, and that just makes me excited to see what Mafia the Old Country is going to bring in for fans in the store, and I'm just super excited for it. Now let me know down below in the comments, what do you guys think about Mafia 4 the Old Country? Are you guys going to be playing it? And also I want to know, which Mafia game is your favorite? My all-time favorite is Mafia 2, and then comes Mafia Definitive Edition. And to be honest, I was not a very big fan of Mafia 3 because I kind of loved the setting and timeline of Mafia 1 and 2. But then for whatever reason, I was never really connected with Mafia 3, and especially because the game was very repetitive, it kind of didn't have that hook with the storyline or whatsoever. But nonetheless, a lot of people did enjoy Mafia 3, I guess. It's just personal opinions, but that's my favorite. I would love to know which is your favorite Mafia game, and also leave in the comments what are your thoughts and opinions about playing as Don Salieri and getting to know how the first Mafia family was originated. I will definitely go down in the comments, read every single one of your comments, and reply to as many of you guys as I possibly can. So please just take a few seconds of your valuable time, leave your comment, and also if you guys did enjoy this video and find this video useful, drop a big fat like. It really goes a long way for me as a creator. It also helps the channel out, helps the videos get a lot more reach, and your support is very, very much appreciated. Now, if you guys want to stick around and get to know all the latest information about all the upcoming open world games, then this channel is basically focused all around giving you guys the full-on information, news, updates, details, leaks, and reveals and gameplays and all the things that you guys need about upcoming open world games. And that is what I have dedicated this channel for. So if you're someone that loves watching videos like these, make sure to subscribe. It's absolutely free of cost, and turn the notifications on so that you guys can stay updated with all the content that I upload every single day. Now, with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Until then, take it easy, fams, and goodbye.